Today's lesson is titled Currency Conversions, and the objective is students will be able to convert between two or more foreign currencies and adjust for commission when necessary. Now, this particular lesson is not only an interesting mathematical lesson, but an extremely practical lesson that people use every single day in their lives, especially people who travel a lot and go to foreign countries. So before we get started, let's discuss some key concepts and vocabulary that relate to currency conversion. So the first and most common term you'll hear is exchange rates or exchange rate. And that's the rate at which you can convert one currency to another currency. So it's literally how much you can turn in one currency of money and how much you'll get out of the other currency. The next concept is commission. You have probably heard this in a bunch of different environments. Commission is often associated with sales. So if someone is a car salesman, they earn commission on every single car they sell. Now, as it relates to currency conversion, it's the additional charge for the service of converting money. So if you go to a bank and or a third-party lender and you want to exchange money, they'll sometimes charge you a little bit of commission for the service that they're providing you. In addition to that, there's the buying rate and the selling rate. And this is really very, very well illustrated in this picture I have right here. So the buying rate is the rate at which a bank will buy a currency, and the selling rate is the rate at which a bank will sell you a currency. So this is an example of an exchange rate station. It's probably at an airport in the US. And what you'll see here is all the different currencies, the Australian currency, Brazilian, Canadian, so on and so forth. And then this right here is the buy rate. So that's what they'll buy your currency for in exchange for US dollars. And right here is the sell rate. That's what they'll sell you US dollars for in exchange for this particular money. So a lot of times you'll see two different rates reported, the buy rate and the sell rate. And in some cases you won't, you'll just get one exchange rate. In addition to that, we have some important procedures we want to go over. So when converting from one currency to another, and there are multiple exchange rates. So just like I showed you, when there's a buy and a sell rate, you have to be able to determine which one you're supposed to use. So we multiply by the exchange rate if the bank is buying the money, and we divide by the exchange rate if the bank is selling the money. And we're going to learn more about this when we actually work through some examples. The second piece of information that's really important is that when you're converting from one currency to another with commission, the first thing you have to do is factor in the commission. So you have to calculate the commission first and subtract it from your total amount of money before you actually complete the conversion. So you're basically figuring out how much you owe for the actual procedure to happen before you actually complete the procedure. The last key concept I want to show you is a currency conversion table, because sometimes you'll see currency conversion rates or exchange rates reported in a table. And you'll have currencies represented both on the horizontal and the vertical axis. And both of these are just currencies. And you have to know that the currency you're converting from is usually going to be what you pick on the y-axis or the vertical axis. And the currency you're converting to is usually what you're going to pick on the x-axis. And so let's say I was trying to convert my Great Britain or English pounds to euros, then I would use this particular exchange rate right here. So I'd multiply my pounds by 1.2 to figure out how many euros I have. So now we're going to take some time to look at our first example. And in this example it says Ernest is traveling on a trip around the world after graduating college. He just spent 2 weeks in Italy and is now traveling to Japan. He has 175 euros and wants to convert it to Japanese yen. The exchange rate is 1 euro is equal to 133.224 Japanese yen. And the bank charges a 3% commission. How much yen will Ernest have after completing the conversion? Round your answer to the nearest cent. So as I approach this problem, the first thing I take note of is the fact that it's a commission-based problem. And when you're dealing with commission, the first thing you want to do is calculate the commission and subtract it from your total money. That way we can get rid of this whole concept of commission from our actual conversion and makes our problem significantly easier. So to do that, let's calculate our commission first. So we're going to find 3% of 175, our total euros. So I do 175 times 0.03, which is 5.25 euros. That is our commission. That's what we're paying to complete the actual currency conversion. Now, once I calculate the commission, I need to subtract it from the total amount of money I have. So I do 175 minus 5.25, leaving us with 169.75 euros remaining. That's my remaining balance. So now that's actually what I'm converting because I had to pay off my commission first. So now I know what I'm converting. Once you've completed the calculation for commission, now you can actually convert your currency. Now what I'm noticing here is I have euros and I'm trying to get yen. So the bank is buying euros, so I'm going to multiply by the conversion rate. So I'm going to take my 169.75 euros, I'm going to sell that to the bank buys it from me and gives me yen in exchange, and they give me 133.224 yen in exchange for each euro, leaving me with a total of 22,614 yen and 77 cents. And that's the total yen remaining, so I've completed my conversion. And as you can see, the yen is significantly larger in quantity than the euros because for each euro, you should be getting 103.25 yen. Moving on to a second example. In this particular example, it says Deja decided to spend a semester during college abroad, and she has been living in France. And France, by the way, uses the euro. The French banks report the following exchange rates for buying and selling British pounds and American dollars. So if the bank buys $1, it's equal to 0.76 euros, buys 1 British pound is equal to 1.174 euros, and this so on and so forth for selling. The first question says, what is the selling price for 1 British pound? This is sort of an easy question, making sure you understand how to read the table. So I go to the sell section, I'm selling 1 Great British pound, so that equals 1.181 euros. So the answer to that first question is the selling price for 1 pound is 1.181 euros. The next question says, Deja just arrived in France and needs to convert her cash to euros. She is going to convert 325 US dollars to euros. So this is our amount right here. How many euros will she have after the conversion? So the nice thing is we can see here that there's no mention of commission, so we don't need to worry about commission. But what we do need to worry about is whether we use the buy or the sell rate. Well, I know in this case that Deja is selling US dollars. That's what she has. So the bank is buying US dollars. So I'm going to go to the buy column and find the US dollars, and this is the rate I'm going to use. And since the bank is buying, I'm going to multiply by the exchange rate. So I'm going to take my 325 US dollars and multiply by the 0.761 euros, leaving us with a total of 247 euros and 33 cents. Moving on to our last question. Our last question says Deja is going to take a weekend trip in London now. She has been in France for over 2 months. She needs to convert some euros because she's been in France into British pounds. She has 175 euros to exchange. How many pounds will she have? So again, no commission, but we have to figure out whether we're buying and selling and which rate to use. So we can tell here that in this case, Deja's buying British pounds. So the bank is selling British pounds. So we're going to go to the sell column and we're going to say the bank is going to sell us British pounds. So this is the conversion rate that we use. However, when the bank is selling, we do not multiply by our conversion rate, we divide. So we take our 175 euros, but we divide by 1.18, leaving us with 148.18 British pounds. You'll also notice that I rounded to 2 decimal places because the questions usually relating to money want us to round to the nearest cent. That's everything you need to know as it pertains to currency conversions. Good luck on your work.